What it is, everybody. I wanted to give you a report because we've been talking a lot about cryptocurrency lately, and I've been an advocate for cryptocurrency. I think it's a way to break away from the system, to break away from central banking power. Now, I've been saying to buy it, although things are in turmoil lately and there's a real storm in cryptocurrency markets. But this is besides that point of it being an excellent tool, I believe, for breaking away from the central banks. You may be concerned, and I maybe should be concerned about links to Bitcoin, Ethereum, to pedophilia or child pornography. And I have an old story that you might not know already about Bitcoin's links to pedophilia. And I have a new story about Vitalik Buterin, the co-founder and the guy that wrote the code for Ethereum, and him saying that child pornography might be okay. So I'm going to tell you both of those stories now. I'll get right to it. This is an article from 2014 from Ars Technica. Some in Bitcoin group resign over new board members linked to sex abuse. And this is a guy named Brock Pierce, who was just elected at this time in 2014 to the head of the Bitcoin Foundation. The Bitcoin Foundation, a trade group composed of hundreds of individuals and companies involved in the cryptocurrency's promotion. And it was hit with at least a dozen resignations in the wake of the election of a controversial new board member. And that new board member was Brock Pierce. He was elected as one of the two new board members of the company. Well, the article goes on to say 15 years ago, Pierce co-founded a Southern California startup called Digital Entertainment Network. Despite raising tens of millions in venture capital, the company eventually went under. Not long before the company was slated to have its initial public offering in 1999, Pierce and two other co-founders were named in two civil lawsuits alleging sexual abuse of underage boys. Pierce was never charged criminally. Well, he started this company, Digital Entertainment Network, with two other guys, one of whose name is Mark Collins Rector, who is now a convicted sex offender, having pleaded guilty to related charges in two states. Pierce also had an unpaid credit card bill of $120,000, but that doesn't relate directly to the pedophilia. In response to this guy being elected to the board, Olivier Janssens wrote, "I am also resigning as a lifetime member. If the Bitcoin Foundation is to be taken seriously, they need to immediately remove Brock Pierce from the board and save face. Brad, there are plenty more allegations than what you brought up. There are active lawsuits on corporate fraud and child porn. This is not the type of associations you want to have for Bitcoin, especially not with the mainstream media trying to pull every stunt in the book." And then the lawsuits actually continued. So this Mark Collins Rector, who was convicted eventually as a sex offender, along with this other co-founder, Chad Shackley, who then they lived together since high school. After their first settlement, after a settlement they made in a future case actually, those two guys and Pierce all fled the country to Spain as a second set of victims filed another lawsuit in California against the three alleging sexual abuse. The three men never responded to the case, and a judge awarded a default judgment of $4.5 million in damages. Now, that's his former business partner, Mark John Collins Rector, convicted sex offender. And the three were arrested and taken out of Spain, but again, Pierce was never convicted of anything or charged with anything in this country, but he did flee the country with the other two men he founded that company with. Okay? I want to know, is he still involved? Yeah, this is the guy, Brock Pierce, American entrepreneur, and he was a child actor. So it goes right back to Hollywood and the Hollywood pedophilia and child sex rings. As a child actor, he was in Disney films, The Mighty Ducks, D2, The Mighty Ducks, and First Kid. And in 2000, three young actors filed a lawsuit claiming Pierce sexually abused them, also naming Chad Shackley and Mark Collins Rector. And that was at that company, Digital Entertainment Network. Well, from then on, Pierce is active in the Bitcoin blockchain ecosystem with numerous speaking engagements, conference activities, and community involvement. In May 2014, he was elected director of the Bitcoin Foundation. Pierce is co-founder and advisor at Blockchain Capital, a venture capital firm that is amongst the most active venture capital firms in fintech. Pierce supports nonprofit and advocacy efforts and is a member of the Clinton Global Initiative. If that means anything to you, a member of the Clinton Global Initiative. And he's been a guest speaker at a number of universities, prominent universities. So this guy, Brock Pierce, is very prominent in the Bitcoin movement and does have distinct ties to pedophilia and allegedly child pornography. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about somebody else. This guy, Vitalik Buterin. This guy here probably pictured when he was 19 years old when he was writing the code for Ethereum. And just to give you the kind of press he gets, this is from Wired magazine, The Uncanny Mind That Built Ethereum. And Ethereum is just some kind of advanced Bitcoin where you can actually write programs on it, as far as I can tell, have decentralized programs. And a lot of people are really behind it. This guy is the genius, allegedly, that wrote the software that co-founded Ethereum. Just to show you how well he's respected, Roger Ver, a major Bitcoin Cash player and Bitcoin player, says Vitalik is both a genius and a class act. And this is from 2 days ago. That's why I sold a portion of my Bitcoin for Ethereum in addition to lots of Bitcoin Cash. Well, a tweet came out from Vitalik just yesterday, and it was pointed out and it was archived because it has subsequently been deleted. It was subsequently deleted. And it has something on here that might concern people. Talking about Bitcoin, he says, plenty of Bitcoiners, and it's because the guy says, asking about Bitcoin Cash, saying that one was on the most wanted list, one called for the legalization of child porn. And this guy says he's a libertarian and doesn't support that. Well, Vitalik calls back and says plenty of Bitcoiners advocate legalization of all drugs. I don't see legalizing possession of child porn as more radical than heroin. He doesn't see legalizing possession of child porn as more radical than heroin. This guy that asked him the question writes back, dude, heroin is something that you do that impacts yourself. Owning child porn impacts children and encourages continued exploitation of children. It's great to be a libertarian, but this is one place where I draw the line. And Vitalik replies, I can easily argue that 1, doing heroin imposes risks on others, or 2, simple possession of child porn does not. Simple possession, he says, of child porn does not. This is after John Grisham, famous author, came out and also says it's okay to have watched child pornography. And that he had a friend who got drunk, watched some child porn, and ended up in prison for much longer than he should have. That just watching or just possessing child pornography is okay. So you have this one Bitcoin member who was promoted and is prominent in the community and part of the Clinton Global Initiative, who has been closely linked to another sex offender and has been lawsuits have been filed against him for being involved in pedophilia early on, back in 1999. Again, very prominent positions, both of these guys. So does it matter? Will it ever affect the price? Do people care? Do people know about what Vitalik just said? I thought I should get the information out there because you might care. It might change what coins you want to own. It might make you want to choose other coins like LiteCoin or Ripple Coin or Dash, any of these alternatives to Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not suggesting you do necessarily, but I'm suggesting you should think about it. I'm showing this thing on the bottom of my screen, twitch.tv/lifttheveil411, because I do live shows where I talk about the truth and what I actually think about things and try not to worry too much about the censors. And then I often delete those shows. That's why you don't see much on my channel. So you can find those shows on twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. It's a great platform, actually. And eventually YouTube, I don't think is going to work for anybody. So I think everybody needs to get off there. You can support the show here, patreon.com/lifttheveil or paypal.me/lifttheveil. I like bringing you the news. I'll talk to you guys later.